Welcome to my latest 2023 NFL preview. Today I'm breaking down the Indianapolis Colts, and here's how the previews work. I give you 3 things I like about the Colts, followed by 3 things I don't like. Then we break down the schedule, and at the end, I go over the yearly win total odds, and I reveal if I'm putting the action down on the Indianapolis Colts. Let's kick this off with the first thing I like about the Indianapolis Colts. First thing is the skill position talent. Now, I personally don't think Anthony Richardson should start day 1, but early reports show that this could be the case. Quarterbacks with Richardson's size and speed simply don't exist in the NFL. You can make a case Richardson is the best pure athlete in the NFL right now. His weapons are top notch. He has Michael Pittman and Alex Pierce, possibly the biggest duo at wide receiver, and then you add third round pick Josh Downs and former Buffalo Bill Isaiah McKenzie. You have smaller slot receivers with game-changing ability. Second year tight end Jelani Woods has nothing but upside. He's a 6'7", 260-pound tight end with wide receiver speed. He's still learning to play the position, but he might have the most upside of any tight end in the NFL. And I haven't even talked about Jonathan Taylor, who if he returns at 100% might be the best running back in the NFL. I'm not saying this is a top 10 skill position unit, but in terms of pure talent, easily top 10, maybe even top 5. Second thing I like about the Colts is our front 7. With new defensive coordinator Gus Bradley, I expect this to be a top-notch defense. Last year, Zaire Franklin filled in and exceeded expectations. He ended up with 167 tackles, 2 forced fumbles, and 3 sacks. The Colts rewarded him with a 3-year, $12 million deal, but in my opinion, this is very, very low. He is very underpaid, but this is good for the Colts. Team in with Shaquille Leonard, who might be the best linebacker in football. You have a duo that could not be better fits for what Gus Bradley wants to do on defense, but this defensive line could be dominant. Defensive ends Kwity Paye and Deo Odangbo were both raw, exceptional athletes coming out of college that just needed time and coaching. Last year, this duo started only a combined 16 games, but did pair up for 11 sacks and 14 tackles for loss. DeForest Buckner is one of the best defensive tackles in football, and if this pair of defensive ends continues to grow and improve, this defensive line will be one of the best in the NFL with 2 stud 3-down linebackers. The final thing I like about the Colts is the low expectations. Last year, a lot of people, including myself, had the Colts winning this division. This year, nobody is saying that. When I break down the yearly win total odds, I will go into a little more detail, but last year the playoffs were expected. This year nobody's even expecting a winning season. Teams with this much talent usually have higher expectations, but I believe that this is fair, and this is also really good for the Colts. To recap the 3 things I like about the Colts: the skill position talent, the front 7, more aptly front 6 as I expect a lot of nickel, and low expectations. Now before I reveal the 3 things I don't like about the Colts, make sure you smash that like button. And if it's your first time here, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. That way you're notified every time I come out with a new video. Now, 3 things I don't like about the Indianapolis Colts. First thing I don't like is the Colts owner interference. Chris Ballard, who's the Colts general manager, was the Chiefs assistant general manager when they drafted Patrick Mahomes. What did the Chiefs do? They sat him year 1. Colts new head coach Shane Steichen is coming over from Philly, where their quarterback Jalen Hurts sat for most of his rookie season. To have your owner come out publicly undermines both the general manager and head coach. Plus, Jalen Hurts and Patrick Mahomes started multiple seasons in college and had significantly more experience coming into the NFL than Anthony Richardson does. In my opinion, the plan of the head coach and general manager, especially considering Steichen brought Minshew from Philly with him, was to sit the talented quarterback year 1, but Irsay wants to do what he did with Peyton Manning and Andrew Luck. However, the raw Richardson is not in that same category. Second thing I don't like is the general direction of the team. Keep in mind this team fully expected Carson Wentz, then Matt Ryan to work out, so this is a team ready to win now. There are a lot of players this year and in 2024 with expiring contracts. If you start Richardson and he struggles, the Colts could be on a full rebuild, and you're going to lose a lot of key players if that happens. In my opinion, you start Gardner Minshew and try to win this year, then implement Richardson into a winning situation in 2024. Both of these points go hand in hand. With owner interference, it causes the direction of the team to go into the wrong way. All you have to do is look how Philly and Kansas City are built. Neither franchise had rookie quarterback starting day 1, and neither franchise has owner interference. Finally, the last thing I don't like the Colts is how heavily they're relying on players coming back from injuries. The Colts had a ton of injuries last year, and this year they're relying heavily on players who missed significant time on both sides of the ball in 2022. I do like that the Colts drafted 12 players in this year's draft and are going to fill this roster with young talent, but if the players who were injured last year don't return to form, or worse yet, get injured again, this is going to be a very long year in Indianapolis. To recap the three things I don't like about the Colts: number one, owner interference; second, general direction and overall uncertainty about the team direction; and last, relying heavily on injured players. Now, let's look at the Colts schedule. First thing I noticed is that 5 out of the Colts' first 8 games of the season are at home, and they end the season with 3 out of their final 4 games are at home, including the final 2 games of the season. The Colts traditionally have a good home field advantage, so this could be huge. They start the season hosting Jacksonville week 1, and this is a tough game, but it's a good team to gauge their development on. And the second game of the season is a winnable road game against a divisional opponent when you travel down to Houston to play the Texans. Their next 2 home games are winnable before you play Jacksonville again week 6. It is a disadvantage playing Jacksonville twice the first 6 weeks of the season, but overall the Colts' early schedule is favorable. I'm really paying attention to weeks 7 and 8. I fully expect Jacksonville to sweep the Colts and Baltimore will win week 3. My question is, can the Colts get the 3 wins before you play Carolina week 9? If so, you got a chance for a wild card. If you can win at Carolina before you travel to Germany week 10, you're actually in really good shape. Week 11, while you're on a bye, Tampa Bay is hosting Tennessee, a team that you played week 5 and will play the following week. That's a nice little advantage. I firmly believe that if you can beat Tennessee, you could be at 6 wins with 3 out of your next 4 games at home. This is not a perfect situation, but the Colts would be in a win and in situation if they beat the Raiders and Texans both games at home the final 2 weeks of the season. Now let's look at the yearly win total odds. Across the board, the magic number is 6.5. DraftKings has over 6.5 at -110 and under 6.5 at even money, while Caesars and Barstool has over 6.5 at -125 and under 6.5 at +105. If you don't understand or know anything about betting yearly win totals, check out this video here. The way I see the Colts is if Minshew is the starter, I would take the over, and if Richardson starts, I would take the under. The schedule is favorable if you like the over. Now, me personally, I'm not putting any money down on the Colts because if Richardson starts, he could get hurt, and you could have a situation in Indianapolis like the 49ers had last year, when Trey Lance started week 1, got hurt week 2, and it looked like the team really responded better to Jimmy Garoppolo. Now, if Minshew does start day 1, I would lean towards the over, but betting on a first-time head coach is scary for me personally. If you want to check out the breakdown for your favorite team, the playlist is listed right here, and tomorrow is the Denver Broncos preview, so I will see you tomorrow.